Hey Alpha fam, let's do a quick market update. Before we begin, I do want to say that nothing in this video is financial advice. Everything is for educational purposes only. It's just my own analysis on the market. Also, if you're new to this channel, if you could please like, comment, and subscribe, we really do appreciate all of the support. Let's get into the market, guys. So, things have been looking pretty good. All right, we've had a very pretty good actually start of this year, to be honest with you guys. We've had a little bit of uncertainty kind of pan out, but for the most part, we've been looking pretty good. We do know that the market structure bill was delayed. I think they're going to get it passed, but the CEO of Coinbase was very adamant about not supporting it. There was some specific things inside of there that they didn't agree with. I think this was a small reason why we've seen a little bit of a pullback. But more than anything, guys, when you have these extensions, things get overheated, you're going to need a cool down. But I still think that this is a move that is catching a lot of people off guard. And I think a lot of people are not correlating to how quickly this expansion and this breakout can happen. All right. Crypto's a macro asset. Bitcoin's a macro asset. All right. And we're seeing right now things like the metal trade and all of these things soar. And gold, it is always going to soar first, guys. It's always going to soar first. All right. And then commodities, future stocks, and then the conditions required for risk assets like crypto to run are always going to be the very last, because it's a specific set of conditions, which is liquidity, guys. We are in the debt refinance cycle. The federal government has to refinance their debt every so many years. The reason why the 4-year cycle used to plan out is it just so coincidentally worked in unison with this. And then during COVID, when they went on the largest, essentially when they pushed all that money into the economy during that time, they then went from the largest easing in the most ridiculous money printing in history to then having to suck all that liquidity out and then raise rates. So we went on the largest interest rate hike in human history. And during the course of those years when they were doing it, it took them a lot longer to get things back under control, guys, from COVID. This extended things. And I think the reason why so many people discorrelated this is because how well the market performed prior to quantitative easing starting. And it was all hype. It was all hype. It was all the speculation on the ETFs being passed, the market structures being passed, Trump getting into office, the ETF inflows, the DATs, the treasury companies, all of these things gave a huge hype wave that allowed the market to perform better than it normally would than in that kind of condition. Now we're going into easing. We're starting to see the direct correlation between this, guys. So I think people have to be patient too. This isn't going to happen overnight. This is going to be a multi-month move. All right. And you're going to have to see some key levels still reclaimed for a lot of people to basically remove themselves from the idea of the 4-year cycle and then really correlate that this is a macro asset, and the 4-year cycle theory was just all BS, and it was all just on the back of what the Fed was doing. All right. Also, for like the smaller time frames, I could see that potentially there being a local top in for the next couple of days. We have extended out. I could see this 50-day curling back up like this, and then us coming back down. We need to we're going to have to do a bullish retest of it at some point, and then push up. Once I think we reclaim the $100,000 level, I think we need to base there for a little while and just kind of chop so we can make a base to give us the strength and momentum needed to really push into making the new all-time highs. It's kind of crazy too, because the amount of attention that's gone into the metal trade lately, I think we're finally starting to see that rotation starting to occur, coming back into risk assets. And it's just been, a little crazy to see how extended some of these things have gotten, like gold in the silver trade. Even like copper. Copper is also, which I'm not, advocating anybody to buy, but it hasn't quite extended like the other two have. And it's one of those which it's not considered like, like gold and silver are considered like hedge against inflation and debasement. So it's basically like a debasement trade. Copper is more for like electricity, and it usually performs really well when the ISM expands over 50, because that's when the business cycle and the economy is booming, and that means manufacturing is up, which they're using more things like copper, silver. Silver is being used for like electronic vehicles, all sorts of stuff, guys. It's just like copper. With that being said, we're going to start seeing this rotation back, because Bitcoin is a hard asset. It's a macro asset. It's hard money. It's the hardest money in the world. It's the best money in the world. There's really no other I could see that is a competitor to it. All right. With that being said, we know and understand here that, especially in Alpha Syndicate, that crypto is the future of finance, guys. This doesn't mean it's going to happen overnight. It doesn't mean it's going to happen in the next 2 years. But 5-10 years down the road, you're going to look back at these times and it's going to be so obvious that you're going to be upset at yourself that you didn't take it more serious and that you didn't put more emphasis on accumulating blue chip assets in peak fear and accumulating these over the course and playing these cycles the correct way, guys. These things are never going to go away. There's going to be tons of opportunities, and as the market starts to really ramp up, you're going to see more and more opportunities start to kind of spring up. So, with that said, I want to look at something else. So, Bitcoin is attempting to reclaim the 50 on the weekly. We can see that it rejected the first time, which is totally normal. There's a lot of resistance there to try to reclaim this level. That was, I fully expected that to happen. Then you also have to look at Ethereum. Ethereum, let me remove this, guys. You can see has, in fact, reclaimed the 50-day on the weekly. On the daily, looks also extremely good, well above the 50. It's done this extension. Again, we want to see the same thing that happened with Ethereum that will happen to Bitcoin. We want to see it do it finally. If it does want to come down and cool off for a couple days, do this bullish retest as this thing comes up. More likely use this prior resistance as support and then push. All right. And then start seeing, Ethereum start reclaiming some levels. Same thing for most of the other assets, guys. They're all doing mostly are kind of in the same category. This is also a really good determination to determine if you're holding something that's showing strength or if you're holding something that's showing weakness. And sometimes this can kind of work a little bit different than you think, because I've had times where I've had projects that showed no strength that were actually lagging the entire market. I'll give you an example. Athena, the last trade I made with Athena when it did its expansive phase to the upside, it was literally lagging the rest of the market. For instance, Curve, which is also a stablecoin protocol, it's not quite the same narrative. Well, they're in the stablecoin protocols, but one's a liquidity provider, one's an actual stablecoin. Curve was up 60-70% already from their local lows, and Athena was doing literally nothing. And within 2 weeks, Athena ran 2x, and everything else was just chopping sideways. So sometimes you do get these sectors of outperformance, even when you think that your token is kind of like not going to get the liquidity rotation that you think it will. Sometimes things come back. But generally speaking, you want either most of your tokens to either be above the 50-day EMA, right at the 50-day EMA, or trying to reclaim it right now. You don't want to be in a token that's, the 50-day EMA is still 30-40% above it, because then you have the market is showing you straight signs of winners. So like what I mean by that, and I can show you some examples of it. So you got things like SUI, which are well above the 50-day EMA. You can see it right now, well above it, and it's holding it as support. This is a bullish sign, all right? Then you could come into something else. I don't want to pick on a project. I'm just going to pick something random. Say is not, I like Say, so I'm not picking on Say. I'm just showing you from a charting perspective that Say is still battling with the 50, trying to reclaim it, all right? It does look like, and I like Say. I think Say is a good project. I think Say is going to catch a bid. But you can see that it's below the 50 day. So if you go to projects and you're seeing that if you're holding almost everything and it's still way, way, way below the 50, I do believe that this could be a unique opportunity that you could be selling at this local high, even though it's come down slightly from the last day or so. You could sell in this range and then hold that capital, wait, and of course this is not financial advice, but then you could, and I'm real big about this, guys, removing the losers. If you have something is showing weakness and you have a bunch of projects that are showing and exhibiting a lot of strength, then rotating out of the losers and rotating into strength, especially right before the key breakout, it's probably not a bad idea, because, and I get it, I hear this all the time, I don't want to sell because I'm at a loss. I bought it, I'm down 60%. Okay, I get that, all right? It's logical, it's a valid reason. You don't want to sell, you don't want to sell at a loss. But what about this? What if you take that capital and you're going to rotate into a coin that's already showing exhibiting strength, and then this thing can actually run 60% in the next few days compared to the token that you got is just kind of chopping sideways? You're actually going to be able to effectively try to make that loss up quicker and faster and more efficiently by doing that, all right? I'm a big believer in cut the weaklings out, rotate into strength. I'm also not a big over rotator. I don't really believe in over rotating. I'm also not a person like, I don't jump narrative to narrative. But, you know, if you're holding something from a year ago, and I'm not to beat up the AI agent sector, but like AI agents, they were the biggest narrative out last year at this time. They were running crazy amounts. Now most of them are just dead projects. The teams have abandoned. They've extracted liquidity. They're no longer there. They're no longer posting. There's no reason to hold that project when you have something like SUI, which is above the 50-day, making a bull pendant. I mean, think about it, guys. So with that, I always like to check the TradFi markets with you guys. They're looking pretty good right now. You can see we've had a couple of pretty good days. Obviously, we're waiting for today to open up. This is the S&P 500. You've got futures looking pretty good, guys. We also want to look at Bitcoin dominance. It's been a little bit of an overextension than I would have liked. But again, this on the weekly is the line in the sand for me. And again, this thing could even wick above and maybe even close above it. I think it'll still come right back down. I think we're going to see over an outperformance in alts, especially as Bitcoin continues to reclaim some of these key levels. All right, it's bringing a lot more confidence back into the market. Looking at USDT dominance, we talked about this the other day, guys. We had a big breakdown. All right, and this thing looks like it's trying to retest this prior support and turn it into resistance. Again, this could also, you know, wouldn't be a normal to see that potentially this thing want to come back up and do a bearish retest on the 50 and then break down. All right, that would look pretty good too. That's kind of what we're looking for to happen. We want to look at total market cap for the altcoins. This is the entire market cap for all of them. You can see made a local high. This is a region I expected a little bit of resistance on. We talked about it the other day, which we did. And again, guys, I could see this thing curling up. This thing maybe kind of chopping over sideways for the next couple of days. Boom, bouncing off, resetting some of these oscillators, letting some of these lower time frames like the 4 hours, the 2 hours, the 1 hours, all of them get a chance to reset, gain some momentum, and then get another push. Still waiting for the daily open today, guys. So this isn't always a guarantee that we're going to start the, you know, local high pullback now. You know, I've had days where sometimes I think we're going to get a cool down and the market goes against me and just continues to push up. Taking a step back and like looking at the overall market and the sectors I'm seeing outperformance in, obviously the privacy sector has been doing very well. Stablecoin protocols like Curve last night had a pretty good expansive. It was up like, I think it ended the day like 2-3% up on the day. You got certain L1s that are showing and exhibiting a lot of strength, like the SUIs, Kita's showing a lot of strength over the last few days. The perp dexes, I think the Asters and those type of projects are going to continue to exhibit strength. Obviously, I am a big RWA guy, so I think RWA is going to have a big resurgence. And I think AI, I think we're going to see some AI start to run again because especially with everything that's kind of transpired the last couple of years with AI, this is honestly, to me, the only true way to like, and I'm not going to say the only way, but one of the best ways to get real exposure to AI is literally through crypto. All right. So with that being said, guys, I think things generally look pretty good. I expected a small cool off, especially as much as we've gone for the last few weeks. You know, we're looking at 16 days of pretty much going up. All right. We've had some, you know, red days in between and stuff, but for the most part, for the majority, we've been pretty bullish. And because of that, expect cooldowns, guys. Nothing goes straight up. Nothing goes straight down. This is just how the market works. This is just something that, you know, I've been around a long time. It's like a stair up. You know, that's just how it goes. Also want to look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin. It's been performing really well. It's really like, it's kind of crazy how much it's just kind of like chopped in this zone. And it's like really tight. All right, guys, you can see it's just been kind of chopping in between these two zones right here. And I'm waiting for this thing to really break out, you know. It's kind of similar to what it did here. You can see it made this move up, kind of chopped sideways for a while. Then it kind of had this little bit of a pullback, and then chopped sideways just a little bit more, and then boom, pushed up. It's kind of similar to what it's doing right now. I think we're going to see Ethereum really outperform over the next couple of weeks. You know, Ethereum has the TradFi bid right now, and I think we'll see it continue to outperform. I'm a big believer. I want Ethereum and Bitcoin to perform really well. I want that liquidity to rotate into them because then once that liquidity starts to rotate down the risk curve, your alts are going to, you know, obviously benefit from that. Other than that, guys, I think, over the next couple of days, like I said, I think this is going to be a multi-month move. I don't think this is going to be something that's going to, transpire and play out really, really quick. Also, something else I want to keep you guys just kind of informed on, there is at the bottom down here on the CME, there was this gap we do have. Now, these gaps can stay open for a very, very long time. You see how we filled this gap up before moving up? These gaps can stay open for a very, very long time, guys. But there is this gap down here too. So never, get too complacent thinking it can be up only, and where these guys, they decide they want to completely liquidate everybody before allowing that to happen. You always keep your eyes on the CME gap. It is down there, but I do think that they will. I don't think it will get filled anytime soon. I think this will be something once the market's finally made a low. And again, this could be totally off, but I've seen these things stay open for multiple months. So if this thing wants to stay open for 3, 4, 5 months like some of the other ones, by the time it gets filled, it'll probably be the end of the market. And that's not always a guarantee, but something to keep in mind. Also, I want to show you guys this, because nobody's talking about this stuff. We did get some more money pushed into, and this was weird, because you see how this thing moved up? This is the Fed's balance sheet. This is the quantitative easing, quantitative tightening chart. This is the determination whether you're tightening or easing. This is Fed's total balance sheet. We can see that they did pump in, it looks like about another $8 billion last night, which is refreshing because I was a little alarmed to see them push all that money in and then suck some out. I'm like, what are they doing here? I don't know if there was a reason behind that, but we did get some more liquidity pushed in, which does look pretty good. We can see silver is down significantly today, guys. And I had a few guys ask me, dude, should I buy silver now? I don't know, guys. Does that look like a chart you want to be aping into right now? Not saying that these things can't go on these bull runs and go and extend a lot higher, but if I think that these things have extended quite a bit, and I think generally speaking, they can probably go up a little bit more, but just like everything else, just like any other market, I would expect a cool down probably as this 50-day starts coming kind of up like this and then bounce off of it. And then I would, you could even see this was kind of like a resistance zone right here. So this could, potentially come down and want to retest it. That might be a potential entry if you're really, headstrong on trying to get into some of these trades for the gold and silver. This is kind of interesting. This thing had this resistance zone. It looks like it's kind of using it as support now. But same thing with gold, guys. I would expect these things to finally start to cool down here soon. And then when they do, they should come back down, retest, and then, maybe make a additional expansive. I've seen some analysts say that they think gold's going to get to between $5,000 and $6,000 this cycle. But again, when it does top, that liquidity is going to rotate somewhere, guys. It's going to have somewhere to go. It's only a few options. I think crypto is going to catch the bid. I really do. So with that being said, guys, I think other than that, I think generally speaking, we're just kind of waiting for the U.S. market to open up, guys. We got about an hour before they open. Kind of interested to see how today goes. Again, I am in the camp. Let's chop sideways. Let's do, if we're going to cool down, let's have a few days of red. Let's do it over the weekend. Let's not create any more CME gaps. Let things get a chance to reset, and then we take back off next week, starting off. Next week, I don't know, and I have to do some research to see what type of events are coming up as far as the macro is concerned. I'm also interested to see when they're going to make this decision on the tariffs, and I'll keep you guys updated on that. Other than that, guys, if you're new to this channel, again, if you could please, give us a subscription, a like, comment. We really do appreciate it. If this is your first time coming to this channel, my name's Coach JM. I've been in digital asset investor for the last 5 years. I'm the founder of Alpha Syndicate. I'm also a crypto expert inside of Capital Club, where I host the Crypto Talk workshops. And I started a community to try to help guys like you really understand this stuff at a fundamental level. If you're trying to understand technical analysis, if you want to learn fundamentals, if you want to learn macro, if you want to learn how all of these things combine together and how we utilize this to give us an edge over the market. If you're also looking for a place to be able to develop entrepreneurs, investors, this is a place to level up, guys. If you're looking for that type of environment where you can get more one-on-one coaching, mentorship, you don't want to be thrown inside of this community with 30,000 people where you feel like a fly on the wall, click the link below, guys. We'll see you inside.